Should Canadians get to be sirs or dames? How about earls, barons, marquises, or countesses? A former boss of the Liberal Party says yes. Jamie Carroll, the somewhat embattled former national director of the Liberal Party of Canada, wrote an editorial in Thursday's National Post in which he complained that eminent Canadians are not getting nearly enough gratitude from the federal government for their accomplishments. Noting that Canadians still live under the majestic reign of Elizabeth II, Jamie wrote, "Why should the Queen be arbitrarily prohibited from creating knights and dames, the sort of titled honours available in her other realms, of her Canadian subjects? Letting Canadians earn aristocratic titles, in contrast, would strengthen and renew the ties between crown and country, while providing an even greater distinction to our most deserving citizens." The key phrase is even greater. After all, Canada's most deserving citizens can already become officers of the Order of Canada, companions of the Order of Canada, members of the Order of Canada, or they can get the Order of Merit, the Royal Victorian Order, the Queen's Jubilee Medal, the Exemplary Service Medal, the 10 provincial orders, the Caring Canadian Award. But of course, none of those come with a fancy title. Well, I mean, politicians still get to be called Honourable or Right Honourable, and if you win any of these orders, you also get to put special letters after your name. But anyway, who wants to be the Right Honourable Jamie Carroll OC when you can be Sir Jamie Carroll, Lord Duke Count of Chocula? Canada, of course, used to let its citizens get titles from the Queen. This is why we call our first Prime Minister Sir John A. Macdonald, and why the Calgary Board of Education is based out of the Viscount Bennett Centre. But after some back and forth in the early 20th century, it was eventually decided that as a matter of government policy, Canadians would not be permitted to accept titles of nobility from Great Britain. The reason why? In a word, democracy. Being a democracy means more than just allowing your citizens to vote in an election once every 4 years. It also describes the sort of broader cultural understanding of how we as citizens of a democracy deal with other people, particularly people of high power, status, rank, wealth. A democratic culture is one that seeks to ignore, or at least not celebrate, things that distinguish people of different social standings, because one of the great things about living in a democracy is that everyone is equal, be they in the courtroom or the voting booth, or at least they should be. When you live in a society in which some people are called sir or countess or whatever, that whole democratic ethos is kind of turned on its head. Unlike a title like doctor or president, you have no sense of what they did to earn that title. All you know is that you're supposed to consider them in some way better than you. The whole reason Canada stopped accepting titles of nobility in the first place was because in the late 19th century it became increasingly obvious that one's ability to earn one of these titles had a lot less to do with the individual's merit and a lot more to do with that individual's proximity to people of power and influence and wealth. I mean, that's still basically the case with Canadian honors today. Of course, on some level, maybe I'm giving too much credit to people that write these kinds of editorials. A lot of people who like royalty and aristocracy and knighthoods and pomp and pageantry and all of this kind of stuff don't really think about what it means for our democratic culture. They're just thinking that they'd like government to be more glamorous and interesting. And it is hard to deny that a government like this is a bit more interesting than a government like this. But luckily, there's a much easier way for grown men to play out their fantasies of living in a romantic era of dukes, knights, and princesses. They're called dolls.